36 minutes after the hour, as we wrap up yet another busy week here on Fox News at Night, it is time to take a closer look at how the mainstream media handled some of the big stories over the last few days in our Friday night highlights and lowlights segment. And for that, we bring in District Media Group President Beverly Hallberg and Media Research Center TV Managing Editor Brittany Hughes. There's so much to get to. I mean, we could talk about a number of different things. I want to begin by talking about the economy, and I think it's always interesting to see how the American media views the economy through their lens versus, let's face it, the reality for those of us out there trying to fill up our gas tanks. I don't know about you, but it used to cost me $46, and I just filled up the other day, and it cost me $72. Beverly, let me begin with you. What do you think about the coverage on the economy over the last several days?
Well, look, it's been really tough for some of the other networks who have been praising this administration for a long time, but realizing they can't do that forever. When people are paying what you're paying at the pump, people are dealing with this across the board. And as you were saying at the beginning of the show, that just leads to higher costs elsewhere when gas prices go up. They're really struggling to talk about this administration, or having to admit that the polling numbers aren't that great. He's not doing too well. And one of the things I've noticed they've been saying is they think, well, the American people just don't understand how good this economy is. That's the problem. The American people don't understand. Well, they do. They don't like what's going on. That's why they're seeing the polling numbers go down. That's why President Biden is coming out and trying to praise this economy, saying today that it is healthy. But the reality is people are dealing with the pain day to day, and his poll numbers are going to continue to go down if his messaging doesn't match with people's reality.
Very interesting that you should point that out, because you're right. No matter what you say, people can listen to you say things are great, and then they go to the grocery market or supermarket, or they go to the gas station and they're like, I don't know if it's so great. Let me share this soundbite from the president today, and then we'll welcome you into the conversation, Brittany. This is the president claiming that the economy is healthy.
We aren't likely to see the kind of blockbuster job reports month after month like we had over this past year. But that's a good thing. That's a sign of a healthy economy with steady growth, rising wages for working families, everyday costs easing up, and shrinking the deficit.
Brittany, help me unpack that. I'm not so sure it's a good thing to not have blockbuster jobs reports. What do you say about that?
Well, I'm assuming that he must have learned his math from Common Core, because that's simply not how any of this works. Look, it really doesn't matter how the White House wants to try to spin this, or how much gobbledygook the president puts out there. Americans are going to understand what's happening to their wallet. They're going to understand the numbers at the bottom of the receipt when they plunk down their credit card or when they swipe it at the gas pump. You cannot make that make sense for Americans that are now paying upwards of 10% more for their groceries, whose rent is going up by 4 and 5%, or who are paying, I mean, in California, we're talking about $7 or $8 a gallon for gas now. That's not spinnable. And the White House, I think, is going into all-out panic mode, trying to come up with some way to make this sound like it's not as bad as it is. But Americans are not buying it. And frankly, they're not buying much of anything because their money's not going as far.
Yeah, well said there. Brittany Hughes and Beverly Hallberg joining us as we talk about the highlights and lowlights of the media over the past several days. I want to dive into maybe the big talker of the week, the Johnny Depp trial, and get you both to weigh in on this. This is the verdict on Wednesday. And for you, Beverly, it was a bit of a highlight. Let me share this for the folks at home.
Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
We heard answer, yes, yes, yes. We heard it a lot as Johnny Depp walks away with more than $10 million. Beverly, your thoughts on the media's coverage of the trial of the year?
Well, I do think it's a highlight of the week and also of the past few weeks, because it is fascinating reality TV. I think a lot of people tuned into this. But here's why I think this case has been so important, the verdict especially so important, is it actually points to a problem with the Me Too movement. When that first came out a few years ago, there was this mantra that you must believe all women, that there shouldn't be due process, and that women are always right. This points to the fact that women do sometimes lie. That's what the jury said in their verdict. And so I hope this puts the Me Too movement on the right track, that yes, we want to have a society where people can speak out, but that due process is part of our judicial system.
I don't want to shortchange you on time there, Brittany, but in the 20 seconds we have left, give me your low light. We won't run the soundbite, but I think it's an interesting one. Your low light of the week involving NBC's Chuck Todd.
Yeah, so Chuck Todd on MSNBC argued that gun rights are not absolute for Americans in the wake of the Uvalde shooting, of course, which was absolutely horrific. But to use that to assert that gun rights are not absolute, it's interesting for the leftist media that seems to find abortion rights in the Constitution, even though abortion's not mentioned at all, but has trouble with the words shall not be infringed. Gun rights are absolute. They're simply inconvenient to those who don't like them.
Brittany Hughes and Beverly Hallberg joining us tonight. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Have a great weekend, ladies. We appreciate it.
You too.